Hi, I'm David Terrar, and welcome to our live stream news and interview show, Cloud Industry Forum presents TWF, courtesy of our friends at Disruptive Live. We're in this wonderful virtual studio. I'm the CEO of Cloud Industry Forum, which is a not-for-profit membership-driven trade body that champions and helps accelerate the adoption of cloud technology and services. We've got members like Lenovo and Kaizo PR and Acronis and Broadcom and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and Ingram Micro and OVH Cloud and others like that. If you want to find out more about us, we're at cloudindustryforum.org. This show goes live on Mondays at 10 o'clock. Each week we start with some tech stories or an opinion piece on something that's sparked our interest, and then we interview a guest. Today it's a renowned expert on leadership, and we'll be talking about his latest book, but more on that later. We're on the lookout for guests to come on the show, so if you've got something interesting to talk about, something that's supported by cloud technology, then we'd love to hear from you. You can connect with us in the comments here. You can email us at info@cloudindustryforum.org. I'm at DT on X. I'm David Terrar on Threads. You can search for me on LinkedIn. Now, today's news and opinion section can't be about anything else but last week's groundbreaking AI Safety Summit, the first of its kind arranged by a government, hosted at Bletchley Park, which with its code-breaking history is a fitting venue for discussing groundbreaking technology. The King was involved on video, 28 countries attended, plus the EU, the Council of Europe, the United Nations, various academia, civil society groups, technology companies, industry bodies, collectively more than 120 representatives. The summit's stated objective is to turbocharge action on the safe and responsible development of frontier AI around the world. Now, it's interesting that they've latched onto that frontier AI term. The government-chosen definition is highly capable, general-purpose AI models that can perform a wide variety of tasks and match or exceed the capabilities present in today's most advanced models. I worried that that was narrowing the focus to leading-edge AI, and that might miss existing problems. But I see the scope actually covered other narrow AI that can hold potentially dangerous capabilities as well. Actually, the frontier AI term is also used by OpenAI, the authors of ChatGPT, and the body they set up in July with Anthropic and Google and Microsoft. It's called the Frontier Model Forum, an industry body focused on ensuring safe and responsible development of frontier AI models. But I suggest that that's a move by major vendors to be seen to be self-regulating before governments step in. I'm pleased to report that all four of those organisations were actually represented at the summit. And I'll quote from their July the 6th paper on the topic. We term frontier AI models highly capable foundational models that could possess dangerous capabilities sufficient to pose severe risks to public safety. Frontier AI models pose a distinct regulatory challenge. Dangerous capabilities can arise unexpectedly. It's difficult to robustly prevent a deployed model from being misused, and it's difficult to stop a model's capabilities from proliferating broadly. Quite a challenge. Now, last week's summit specifically focused on misuse risks and loss and control risks, so they were taking a risk-based approach. The instant success, of course, out of that summit was that on the first day they published a joint Bletchley Declaration supported by all 28 countries and the EU, and notably that includes China and USA and, of course, us. It talks about a human-centric, trustworthy and responsible approach. And I'm going to quote again from that declaration. Identifying AI risks of shared concern, building a shared scientific and evidence-based understanding of these risks, and sustaining that understanding as capabilities continue to increase in the context of a wider global approach to understand the impact of AI in our societies. And they also said, building respective risk-based policies across our countries to ensure safety in light of such risks, collaborating as appropriate while recognising our approaches may differ based on national circumstances and applicable legal frameworks. This includes, alongside increased transparency by private actors, developing frontier AI capabilities, appropriate evaluation metrics, tools for safety testing, and developing relevant public sector capability and scientific research. Now, that all sounds very promising, but I'd like to have seen more emphasis on AI's role on social media in misrepresentation and bias and fake news. Should there have been more attention on protection for IP creators? I haven't heard much about the environmental impact of our huge increase in the use of AI either. I get the idea of a light touch approach. We do need guardrails and we do need appropriate regulation that doesn't stifle innovation or add unnecessary process. But it actually wasn't all plain sailing for the government. Representatives from 11 of the civil society groups that were involved issued an open letter during the conference saying governments must do better than today's discussions suggest and asking for more participation beyond the global north. And we have competing agreements. Also, on the first day at the US Embassy in London, Vice President Kamala Harris unveiled a package of actions on AI that included a political declaration signed by 30 other countries. That's a few more than those who signed up the Bletchley Declaration we just mentioned. Interesting competition. We'll be keeping a close eye on what happens next as a result of the summit. As the rate of adoption of AI across all industry sectors continues to accelerate, we're going to be coming back to this topic of regulation again and again. It's a shame today's guest can't be in the studio with me because he's actually 8 inches taller than me, so I'd actually need a box so that I could be level with his head. But I'm really looking forward to what we're going to discuss. He's a Californian, but he lives here in the UK by choice. He's an incredibly sought-after keynote speaker, and I think this is probably about the 4th time that we've done something like this. He's Michael Anderson. So, Michael, please introduce yourself and what you do.
Well, David, if it makes you feel better, I don't think I've ever been interviewed by anybody taller than me. So we're off to a good start. So for those just probably seeing my head, I'm about 6'8", 2.03 meters. I did play some basketball, and I'm American living in the UK, like David said. And I started as a programmer, and then I founded a couple of software companies, realized I was not a good leader, had to sort that out really quick because it was causing emotional issues, mental issues. It was creating a lot of chaos in my personal life, much less really hampering where I wanted to go as a business person. So I ended up earning a master's in a really unique master's degree in psychology. When I applied what I learned there to my leadership, we really started to have a lot of success. We were on the Inc. 5000 list a couple of years in a row. We were voted the #1 best place to work, and I won Social Entrepreneur of the Year. That was externally. Finally, but for the first time in my life, I was having fun and enjoying being a leader. Because up until then, I had so much imposter syndrome and self doubt, and then that was so difficult for me, but it was so rewarding at the other end that after 25 years in accounting software, I decided to sell those businesses. And now for the last decade or so, what I do is I teach leadership mindset. So I went on to get a neuroscience certificate, and I teach leaders really how to step into their power, how to have that confidence, how to empower others and really come from an authentic place.
What sort of things from that history that you described kind of shaped turning you into a better leader?
Well, this is PG, so I probably can't talk about the divorce, the substance abuse, or when my business partner assaulted me, and I had to have an armed guard handing him his restraining order the next day, and his termination letter. But what happened is I didn't have the emotional intelligence. I didn't understand who I was. I didn't have the tools and skills to really be a successful leader. I in a way, I understood what being a leader was. I just didn't know how to get there. I understood about having a culture. I just didn't know how to change my company's culture. I saw people in my team weren't living up to their potential, and I didn't know how to really enable that and to get them to the next level, to coach them and to champion them. And and it was really difficult. I would go in and out of depressions. I would I mentioned some substance abuse. I had this really big issue with my business partner, sent me into a tailspin, and I realized that I had to sort this out to really get to where I wanted to. And I guess I'm a programmer, and so I figured out, well, I got to figure out what makes me tick and what makes other people tick, and that led to this psychology training.
Interesting. You mentioned emotional intelligence there. What does how important is that as an ingredient of leadership?
I think it's one of the most important things. And emotional intelligence is a bit of a big word that covers a lot. But to me, to know who I am and what's going on within me at any given time, as well as who I'm dealing with, whether it's a customer or an employee, I think great leaders, what they do is they know when how to have a conversation with people that are in different states of mind. In a way, leadership is just a series of different conversations, whether it's one on one, whether it's with a customer, whether it's a boardroom, whether you're addressing the whole organization. And as a leader, there's so much we do with our words and how we communicate, or and how we listen. And when we really get a sense of where we're at, like, am I triggered right now? Am I angry? Am I nervous, or whatever that is? And we can shift into a place of whether it's empathy, authenticity, listening. And we can also have the people, the person or people that we are dealing with. If we get a sense of where they're at right now, then we can change what we say and how we say it to really get to a successful conversation. And that is it's and all that is definitely learnable, where you learn about your different states of mind and other people's states of mind. And then when you figure that out, though, you become much more of a successful and effective leader.
Excellent. Now, I'm jealous of the fact that you've published a number of books. And this year's one that was published this year is Leadership Mindset 2.0. It says it uses evidence-based techniques rooted in psychology and neuroscience. Explain what that means a bit, please.
Yeah, well, there's so much out there about leadership, and me, just like everybody else, it's fun listening to maybe a former Navy SEAL or special forces person or race car driver or basketball player or football player or whoever it is about their leadership, what they had to go through in leadership, and I do gain things from that, but you never know what's just their experience and what works over and over. And that's really what I set out to do, because I know how important it is. Every leader, we take on so much responsibility, and it's really important that leaders have the skills and especially the mindset to really succeed. Because you can learn about management, but to me, leadership is about your presence. It's about holding people accountable from an empowering place. It's about creating a culture that you want of high achievers and A players. And to do that, you really need to know what's going to work. And all leadership is a psychology, knowing about what makes you tick and what makes other people tick. So when you break it down like that, it's a lot easier to motivate and inspire people, because you know how people are wired. And that's why because I went on to get a neuroscience certificate as well. And what I talk about evidence based is, I've done research studies with my own team. I've looked at what the other research studies are. And what I do is I teach things that are tried and true based on psychology, not what I did winning a Super Bowl or the World Cup, which again, those things are cool. I just think it's different when you're working in an office. There's specific things you need to do to really drive that forward.
Excellent. Now, I've seen that this book shows 48 discrete skills, habits, and hacks. So you're actually kind of giving people a kind of practical tool set on how to be a better leader. Is that right?
Yeah, this is not a philosophical book. This is like, for example, I have a system on how to have difficult conversations, and so it's like you read that in a couple pages, you know the 4 steps to having a difficult conversation. This so I really it's a very much how-to manual, if that makes sense, on really how to be a leader. And I've worked really hard to take things that are maybe a lot of coaches have been working with their clients for a long time on, and maybe that are found in the emotional intelligence book or different things, and really make them bite sized. Because as leaders, our number one resource is time. And if somebody is going to invest the money and the time to buy my book, it's not even about the couple bucks that it is, it's the time and the mind share. I want them to leave with things that are going to help them when they get back to the office that next day. That's going to help them in that board meeting to show up as a more strategic leader. That's going to really help their team get to really where they want to go, because then everybody's happier and everybody's life's a bit better.
Excellent. Now, what's changed to make this new Mindset 2.0 that you talk about?
The mindset 1.0, as I define it, is the top down. It's, hey, I'm the boss, I want you to do what I say. And people have been doing that forever, and that doesn't work. All the statistics say that people don't respect their leaders, that they don't believe in their leaders, they don't trust their leaders, And worldwide engagements at 17%, which is horrible, horrendous. So we have a lot of work to do. So what by just giving orders, that doesn't work. And especially companies are seeing this, and leaders are seeing this with the younger generation. The younger generation is amazing. The energy they have, the initiative they have, but they don't want to take orders. They want to be part of a purpose. They want to be able to grow as people. And when you and there is time to give orders. There is time to hold people accountable. But to me, what you want to do when you have people help people gain the confidence, the people that report to you, when you can help them grow as people, teach them these emotional intelligence skills themselves, and really develop the relationship with themselves, and so that they become more confident and take on more responsibility and enjoy that. That's really when they get a lot of out of it. They enjoy being in your team. Then your team becomes a team of superstars, and you're really making an impact on a bigger level. Both you as a leader, everybody there, and your team, and your team inside the company.
There's an important kind of thing, implicit in that. So, I mean, some people talk about born leaders, but what you're saying and what I agree with is that leaders can be made.
I'll tell you what, David, all my friends are business owners, and I've seen almost all of them just transform in 5 or 10 years. I mean, it's and people out there listening and watching, if they think about themselves, if you think about yourself 5 or 10 years, 5 or 10 years in the past, and think about how far you've come as a leader. I'm sure you're more mature, you're more wise, you listen more, you can read people better. That's absolutely shows that the leadership is learnable. Some people might be a little bit more charismatic out of the gate. Some people may be a little bit better as a speaker or this or that. But absolutely, if anybody wants to be a leader and they apply themselves, they can be. They just have to be willing to change. And I'm I'm a good example of it. I mean, we've heard of Steve Jobs getting kicked out of Apple before and coming back after he got wiser. Um, they're absolutely leadership is a learned skill.
Excellent stuff. Now, we're living in an interesting time. 2023 has been the year of generative AI and large language models. How do you think leadership needs to adapt to this new technology landscape that's going to affect every industry sector?
Yeah, it is, David, and I've been thinking about this, and it'd be great to have a deeper conversation with you one day over a drink or something. And I just think that what leaders have to do is embrace it. And this is just another. This might be a big change, but as far as leaders go, we I don't necessarily see AI changing what a leader has to do, but if anything, it brings out we have to be more of leaders because we have to really understand what motivates people even more. And the people that are there, we're going to have to, they're going to be even more integral if AI is taking over some of the lower level tasks. And so we have, to me, we really want to be in touch with our people to give them what they need and take advantage of AI, but have it be in a very humanistic way. And it's going to raise a lot of ethical type questions. I don't necessarily see AI as taking over much of what a leader does. Maybe it'll take over some of the management, which will be good. Then you have more of your time opened up for leadership, where you can be creative, where you can be inspiring, where you can be more strategic. But it'll be really interesting to see what maybe ethical dilemmas, what personnel dilemmas will come out of this big change we're going to go through.
Excellent stuff. Now, I mean, we've got generative AI at the moment, but there's more technology change coming. There's going to be more immersive mixed reality experiences, and we're going to be interacting with our technology with not just a mouse and a keyboard, but with voice commands and with gesture. And we're in an environment where, things are continuously changing. Is that kind of adapting to continuous change part of the new leadership mindset that you talk about?
Yes, I mean more than ever. And the when it comes to change, what's interesting is they find that the companies that need to change have to push decision making down. The more an organization needs to adapt to change, the less it can be in a hierarchical leadership 1.0 structure as it is. And so, as a leader, you're going to have to really understand and empower your people, the people that are closest to the customer or what have you, to really be able to change. And that's what the studies coming out of the pandemic showed, is that the organizations that had decentralized decision making, that empowered their people, could really roll with the changes during the pandemic much more than than people that were more top down. And that's really going to be the way going forward. So that's really a call to leaders to really make sure that people are empowered and you have the right systems in place to enable that.
Excellent. So, Michael, kind of last question. What's the kind of the key message you'd like our audience to take away from today?
Well, the key message in the book, and what I'll tell everybody, and I ask everybody to reflect on this, is your leadership is a reflection of the relationship with yourself. And what I mean by that is, for me, when I was into leadership and I wasn't really secure with myself, I spent so much time trying to be who I thought people wanted me to be. I wanted to be respected. I wanted people to look up to me. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be looked at as smart and successful. But that wasn't authentic. That took a lot of energy, and that wasn't truly me. And then the more I got to know who I was, and that's what I talk about, the relationship with yourself, the more I got to know, like, and trust myself, the more I stood forward as a leader and say, hey, look, this is who I am. This is my values. This is my vision. This is my purpose. If you're down with that, come and join my team. If not, that's okay. But you're not going to be somebody that I work with. People want to know who you are, so you really have to get to know who you are. And that's where true confidence comes from. That's what true resilience comes from. And if anything else, so that's the big thing. And then the small thing that I'm going to tell everybody as leaders is, give yourself a freaking break. You take on a lot of risk, a lot of responsibility. And I don't know about everybody else, but I'm my own harshest critic. And, just give yourself a break. Don't take stuff too seriously. You're going to figure it out. Stuff's going to come back around. So as you roll with these punches, just focus on all the stuff you do right and give yourself a bit of a break when things don't go perfect.
Excellent. Well, Michael, that's been absolutely marvelous. Lots of great ideas in there to think about. I know that people can find the Leadership Mindset 2.0 book on Amazon. How can they find out more about you?
Yeah, so my name is, I go by R. Michael Anderson because there's too many Michael Anderson out there. So rmichaelanderson.com or Leadership Mindset, the book. Or find me on LinkedIn. I love connecting with people. And just say you met me on David's show, and maybe I'll send over something fun to you if you connect to me on LinkedIn.
Excellent stuff. Michael, that's been fantastic. Thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed Michael on leadership. I thought that was fantastic. Same time next week, 10 o'clock on Monday. Please come and join us. If you want to find out more, email info@cloudindustryforum.org. Look forward to seeing you next week.